August 16th, NXT Heatwave. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast, and the three of us together again. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Alfred Konuwa, NYC Demon Diva Issa, tonight to talk about NXT Heatwave, because it's hot.
It is hot here in Los Angeles. I don't know about the rest of the world, but it is blazing out here.
It's cooling down in Las Vegas. How about Puerto Rico, Issa?
Very hot. Very, very hot.
Yes. Some of the most intense humidity I've ever experienced was in Puerto Rico in December.
Oh, wow.
It was warm. It was moist. It's crazy. But not here tonight to talk about the weather.
How moist was it? I want to hear it.
I'm a grown-up, and that word always makes me laugh.
It was like an Adam Driver level of moistness. So here we are. Before we dive into Heatwave, what's going on in the news?
Well, let's spill that tea, girl. WWE reportedly reached out to a contracted AEW talent who used to be with WWE. They inquired about them possibly coming back to WWE. The talent turned them down, said they were happy with AEW, and they snitched to upper management about this situation. And so now it is out that WWE had reached out. Of course, a lot of people have been returning from the NXT era under Triple H. We saw Dakota Kai come back, Scarlett and Karrion Kross hit row in the building. And now it looks like WWE is even trying to contact people under contract, which I don't know how this ended up happening, if there was a confusion with WWE management, whether they were under contract, but this could have some legal ramifications, even though tampering in wrestling is very common and it happens all the time with both companies. It looks like WWE was caught red-handed, pretty much tampering, Issa.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the reports are. This is all alleged, you know? You didn't
all
use
alleged.
the word. You didn't use those words. We got to
I said reportedly. When I say reportedly, that means maybe it's not true.
Yeah, I mean, of course they are, but it's not the first time it happens. It's not the last time it's going to happen. It is what it is. It's just going to send everybody into speculating who the talent is, and everybody on Twitter has a different version of who it is, even though the name was never mentioned. So
yes, and I think it's adorable that people think it's Adam Cole. I think that's so cute.
Who would you steal if you're WWE? Who would you try and steal from AEW? Alfred.
I get Keith Lee. I would get Swerve Strickland.
Not even some, but not you're going. I mean, that's ballsy for someone that's like brand new there. And you're just like, already walk away.
Now, you mean showing up to WWE and trying to look at people? Definitely Andrade. In terms of somebody who realistically can come over, if we're really trying to do something, Andrade, maybe Miro.
It's MJF. The fact that you haven't even said MJF, but MJF has never been with WWE, obviously. But MJF is who I would go for. You already know he's disgruntled and unhappy. Should be easy.
You know who I would steal if I was WWE? And this is a little out of left field. I would try and get Abaddon if I was trying to get someone. Like I think they're not using her at all in AEW, and they're not using her effectively. She would thrive in WWE, especially under Triple H or in NXT even.
This tells me that WWE might have an ongoing, I don't know whether we call it cold calling or an ongoing phone strategy where they are actively reaching out to people who used to be with WWE. And perhaps this was one of those things where signals got crossed. They were under the impression that they were not under contract with somebody in AEW, and they got one of those calls. But obviously they're calling a lot of people to come back, and maybe this person was involved in that skirmish.
Maybe it's automated. Maybe it's, hi, we're calling to reach you about your car warranty. Okay, Tony Khan's not listening, right? We're really calling to ask about your contract status with AEW. It's
Are you
not
happy
tampering
with your current employer?
Yes, it's not tampering if it's not a live person.
I like that.
It's a text message. Please click on this link. Your bank account has been locked. Please click on this link to unlock it.
You know what it was?
And then you click on the link and it asks you like the secret questions, you know? It's like, how many years are left on your contract? Are you happy?
They probably got texted a QR code, and then you have to scan, and then it said like someone, what do you call the wordle that said like, come to WWE now. But who do you guys think it is, by the way? People in the chat, everybody's speculating. I've heard all kinds of different names. This is a very interesting story. It could be a lot of different people.
I'm sorry, Issa?
No, I was just gonna say probably like an Andrade, Malachi Black, some of those former NXT World Champs that are not really doing much. That's who I would speculate.
If Vince was still there, I would say Wardlow, like 100%
Mm.
Wardlow.
Now, this was a talent, keep in mind, that used to be with WWE. So maybe
okay.
that's why I think that it might have been one of those things where their name was in the database and they just maybe got a call.
I would try to get Wardlow, regardless.
Yeah, regardless, yeah, Wardlow would be very welcome addition.
I'm not
to
talking about WWE. I'm talking about myself.
Don't let Roman Reigns hear that.
Listen, Wednesday nights is a different story, okay?
Well, WWE looking like, and listen, maybe WWE is looking for a big moment, a Lex Luger-like moment where somebody just shows up on TV. WWE has all the finances in the world, and we'll get to that very soon, in order of combating a lawsuit. I mean, it wouldn't be the wisest thing in the world, but I don't think WWE would be scared of the company going out of business in the event of a lawsuit. So maybe they're just trying to make a big splash. Maybe they're targeting that September 4th show.
They should have paid this talent, whoever it was, some hush money, because he obviously didn't hush.
Yeah, maybe he did sign it, because all kinds of people with NDAs. Maybe NDAs just don't mean what they used to mean.
I wonder if it's someone that's not being used on TV that someone more casual doesn't even know is in AEW. You know what I mean? Like someone who hasn't been on TV in a while. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Out of sight, out of mind. Something. I mean, those would be the ideal people to target.
Yeah, or like Parker Bordeaux. Like, because who the hell watches Rampage? Like, I could see Triple H being like, "What? You let go Parker? Like, we're getting him back."
Oh wow, that would be interesting if it was Parker.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But good news for WWE outside of what could be a scandal with AEW is that WWE's business is on fire. They reported their record-breaking revenue for the second quarter of 2022, $328.2 million. That is up 24%. And they also reported some material weaknesses. SEC filing disclosed that WWE had lacked an effective control environment to enable the identification and mitigation of risks or accounting errors. This was stemming from WWE's internal investigation of Vince McMahon. And WWE did admit in the report that they prevented the detecting omissions in contractual agreements and agreements that require accounting evaluation must also be adjusted so that trustworthy individuals oversee the department, basically saying that they did not have the checks and balances in place to stop what allegedly happened with Vince McMahon. But other than that, WWE had some great business news. What do you guys think about this whole story with WWE, starting with you, East?
WWE is making money. That's not news. It's been that way for a while, right? They've been reporting being on the money-making side of things for a while now.
I think the way it got through is that Vince went into accounting and he was like, I had some out-of-pocket expenses. Could you perhaps make a check? Just make it out to cash. And I just need to reimburse myself for some of the company-related business expenses I've had. I'll file a report later. I had to buy a lot of paper clips.
Yeah. And it looks like this agreement or this scandal investigation, whatever you want to call it, with Vince McMahon, in the court of public opinion, this will be a forever thing. This is going to continue to get covered. The Real Sports article is coming out. But in terms of the investigation itself, it looks like WWE feels that it's concluded. This SEC filing, which is kind of a conclusion saying what they found, it looks like that adds some finality to it. So internally, it might be over. But of course, this could just be the beginning, according to what comes out.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Anything else, Glenn?
No.
The good news continued for WWE's business. 90,000 tickets sold for WrestleMania in 24 hours. They came to my backyard of Inglewood. I was there. It was lit. And they had the ticket launch party with all kinds of I've never seen so many QR codes in my entire life. Everywhere for people to get tickets. Maybe that's part of how they were able to sell. There might have been 90,000 QR codes at this event. So maybe that's how they sold all these tickets.
Zoe Stark promo.
Yeah, absolutely. It was all just one big Zoe Stark promo. They stole her gimmick from right up under her. But 90,000 tickets in 24 hours, it really speaks to this two-night formula, because usually if you do one night of WrestleMania, you could really only sell, 60, 70,000, because it's all people in one stadium. But if you split it up, you're not going to sell out the stadium, but you will sell, upwards of 90,000 tickets, which is a company record, Issa.
WrestleMania. I mean, that name alone, the fact that you're selling that amount of tickets before we even know what the card is. Like, to me, that is mind blowing, and it goes to speak about how big WrestleMania still is. I'm excited. I think WrestleMania in LA is going to be major. It's good for them.
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, maybe they're banking on The Rock coming back. Maybe that's who's selling all these tickets.
I mean, yeah. I mean, actually, what's terrible for this is that if they get close to sellout without even announcing anything, they have no reason to bring The Rock back.
No, not at all. And they do this. The brand is stronger than any individual talent. That is still something that, even though we're not in the Vince McMahon era, that will continue to be a thing. And this is why. It's because you're able to sell out events without having the pressure of announcing a lineup, which is a luxury that AEW does not enjoy at this point.
Yeah. You know what the difference is? Like, Vince is the guy that has all his action figures, like, still sealed in the package, like just up on shelves, meticulously organized. And when you go over there, you're not allowed to touch anything, let alone play with it. But Triple H is the kid with all the loose figures that he just dumps out, and he's like, okay, let's set up the ring and play with it.
Yeah, he's present. He lives in the moment. I like it.
Yes. Yes.
Final story, WWE Raw, 1.978 million. It's essentially flat with last week, 1% higher. But the story here is this is the fourth consecutive week that Raw has done 1.9 million viewers. The last Raw under the Vince McMahon regime did about 1.735. So we're talking about 200,000 to 300,000 people they've added those viewers, and they've maintained them for about a month, which is a good sign. They had that huge number of over 2 million for August 1st, and they've kept the majority of that influx of new viewers who I think the product has improved. And I don't know if it's improved to the level of where it's going to bring people back to passionately want wrestling, but I do think that people have faith in this new product, this new regime, and they're giving it a chance at least.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's exciting. I think there's a level of excitement, and there is a little bit of anything could happen in the air, with WWE. And I do think that makes some fans invested, brings some fans back, and they have been booking pretty good episodes on Monday Night Raw. If they keep that going, more people might start watching.
And now that Better Call Saul wrapped the series finale last night, Raw ratings are going to just skyrocket.
Get that Better Call Saul bump. I like it.
Absolutely. I don't know what I'm doing on Mondays now.
Well, come on over, Glenn. The water's fine.
Yeah, an era has come to an end. God, can you believe Breaking Bad debuted like 15 years ago? And it's weird that it's all over now.
So that whole universe is wrapped up. We're not getting
nothing else. Nope. All done. Crazy. Anything else in the news?
Nothing else in the news.
Okay. Heatwave. Paul Heyman did the voiceover, getting a little extra walking around money.
Good for him. Get that back.
Yeah. And Jeff Jarrett can't be Go ahead, Alfred.
No, I was just going to say, Jeff Jarrett can't be the only person getting all these bags in wrestling. I'm sorry.
I do think it adds, just to hear Paul Heyman's voice, it just adds to the excitement.
And he didn't start off super Paul Heyman-y, so for the first 30 seconds, I'm like, is that Paul Heyman?
Yep.
Calvin R. Alexander, $2. Give Blair Davenport all the belts. We're going to talk about Blair and some of the NXT crossovers. You think Paul Heyman should set up a listing on Fiverr? I'll do your voiceover for your wrestling pay-per-view.
Oh God, I would love it.
And I'll gig extras. If you pay me an extra $20, I'll make it extra Paul Heyman-y.
Probably
get a little more base for $20.
Yeah. Wayne, $2 for Issa and our watch along tomorrow. Omega.
Let's go.
Yes, that'll be fun. Omega, it looks like he's going to return. AEW is doing this thing that I like as a viewer, where they don't openly advertise who it is, but they give you all the clues. The problem here is that they've really been building it up on BTE, being the elite, not necessarily on their TV. They have done the angle with the Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page, but they haven't really telegraphed to the national television viewers that Kenny Omega is on his way back. And I mean, AEW needs all the buzz it can get, because even that story of Kenny Omega, it doesn't seem as big of a story as it should be, especially with WWE dominating these headlines.
I think they did last week, in a weird, probably too long segment with Hangman Page, when Hangman Page says, hey, you guys need to go find someone that's never turned his back on you. I think I personally took that as a hint that it was going to be Omega. But yeah, I mean, the BTE thing is for the nostalgia, for the hardcore fans. I think it's great.
It's too bad the Paramount Networks owns BET, so we'll never get BTE on BET.
No, I don't think we would get that anyway.
Right.
Crossover I want.
I think that ratio has to go up a little higher in order to get on BET.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens on tomorrow night's Dynamite, but NXT tonight, hot opening to Heatwave. See what I did there. Had a rundown of the card, and we had Carmelo Hayes versus Giovanni Vinci for the NXT North American Championship. Issa, were you on the edge of your seat during this match?
I was. This match was incredible. There was like the storytelling in the ring. It was like they were just countering everything each other had to do. There was a lot of false finishes that had me like crazy. Even the usage of Trick Williams didn't really like affect the match for me. I thought Vinci looked incredible. Even on in the feet, he was flipping around like a dolphin in there. It was great. I really, really enjoyed this match. I felt bad for whoever had to follow it, honestly.
Wow, Alfred.
I felt bad for the Dolphins for being shown up by Vinci. But yeah, I thought this match was great too. I loved how hard they worked. I thought it was very good. It's another one of these weird matches with Carmelo Hayes. He always seems to find himself in heel versus heel matches, but he just seems to know how to make it work also. And I just thought that these two on paper were going to be a good match, and this is exactly what I expected, and it was really good.
Hot opening to the show. Now, Giovanni Vinci, however, I mean, is he over? Are the people behind him? I feel like he could really be anyone at this point.
I don't know if he's over. What do you think, Issa?
I think he is a little bit. I mean, I think he gained a lot of respect from the crowd today since they debuted him in this weird gimmick that he has going. I don't think he had done anything significant after, like until tonight. I want to see where his momentum goes after this match tonight.
But what's his gimmick? Like he's rich and he's attractive.
Yeah, it's really not that deep of a gimmick. Once you get past that entrance, which is great, you know, his photos and his stills, once you get past that, there really isn't much to speak of. So they really need to do some world building with him, the way they've done with Tiffany Stratton, who has a very simple gimmick, but she's created a whole cult of personality around it. And that, I don't know if he's capable of doing that. I don't know if a lot of people are capable of doing it, but they at least need to tell us an origin story for this man.
I don't know when we cross the Rubicon, but I shit you not, Tiffany Stratton versus Wendy Chu, like in the running for feud of the year.
Oh, wow.
At this point.
Bookmark that. They're going to have a lights out match, which I'll have some words about that.
Okay. Look forward to that. But hot opening, Carmelo retained. And we had Creed addressing Diamond Mine and the NXT universe. So this was weird. They got up there. They accused Roderick Strong of betraying them, that Tony D'Angelo was signaling him. Roderick called Tony a scumbag. Don't appreciate that. Tony D'Angelo, the America's sweetheart, top babyface in NXT. And then Wolfgang Joe Coffey and Mark Coffey of Gallus from NXT UK came out and attacked Kemp and stared down, and the Creeds, and there was a stare down. Like, I mean, so is Diamond Mine breaking up? Like, what's going on?
We have this conversation every month, especially when it seems like they're about to break up. And then once it seems like this is going to be the breakup segment, something happens that makes them forced to stay together. It's like Hotel California.
Oh, it's like the Kiss farewell tour. It will never end.
Yeah, exactly.
I was more concerned about, is NXT UK going to be okay, or are they really ending it based on the rumors that we've seen? Because we saw an NXT UK invasion here tonight. So these guys were like, if you guys don't want to tape at our place, we'll come to NXT 2.0 then, apparently. I had no idea who they were, by the way. But
yeah, not a
solid way to introduce them is just like, they haven't done anything to make us want to go and watch NXT UK, right? So at some point, somebody from NXT 2.0 should probably show up in NXT UK television just to at least get that back and forward, because they're introducing people that we're just not familiar with. But it was a strong way of bringing them in. But yeah, I don't know about Diamond Mine breaking up ever at this point.
Yeah, and Joseph Boza and other people in the chat are saying, do we think this is going to be the rumored Worlds Collide? Is that going to be the rumored pay-per-view on September 4th?
I could see
going up against AEW.
It's funny because Worlds Collide is kind of like WWE's version of Forbidden Door, so they're kind of trolling NXT, trolling AEW. I will say this: if it is Worlds Collide, WWE is going to have to do better than NXT versus NXT UK if you're going up against AEW pay-per-view.
Yes.
You know, with all due respect to NXT UK, there are rumors out there. People in NXT UK are very nervous. If you're watching this show and you see all the people they brought up here, it does kind of seem like in this climate with Mr. McMahon gone, maybe they will shutter NXT UK. But NXT UK versus NXT, I don't think it would be a very hot commodity, especially if the word is out there that NXT UK might be a dying brand.
Well, remember there are more than two worlds that could collide.
Yes,
so if they bring Raw, no, I was gonna say if they bring some Raw and SmackDown into this, like they could do something really interesting if they keep expanding. But yeah,
they did drop the Usos name tonight on that promo.
But if it's just NXT versus NXT UK, like I mean, you're getting it for free with Peacock. It's not like you have to pay extra,
right?
Like it should get probably as many eyeballs as the AEW pay-per-view will, but AEW will be monetizing those eyeballs.
Since it's Worlds Collide, maybe this is how they got around tampering. Since it's Worlds Collide and they're just contacting people from other companies, maybe that's how they got around this tampering. It's because it's Worlds Collide. We're acknowledging it with AEW. We just wanted to know if you'd like to represent AEW on this pay-per-view.
I mean, you never know. It is more exciting as we sit here and even joke about this. I'm like, maybe they could bring in someone from Impact. You know, they could do some things. This could be really fascinating. But if it's just NXT versus NXT UK, you really, I mean, how many people you think watch NXT UK on a weekly basis?
How many people are in the chat?
There are some wrestling podcasts that have a bigger audience than NXT UK.
Yep. Not a lot of people watch NXT UK. I haven't watched NXT UK.
It's a good product. I haven't watched much of it.
Kelvin Alexander, $5, saying NXT 2.0 talents have been at NXT UK the past several months. It's true. Brooks and Dunn are the NXT UK tag team champions.
Yeah, they won the titles. And just looking at this, if you're even reading the tea leaves without knowing any of the speculation, I mean, I've speculated for a couple of months seeing this, thinking that what are they going to do with NXT UK if all these NXT UK guys are coming here, if they're winning their titles? Like, what is the future of NXT UK? It's a very fair question.
It is.
They canceled 2 of their TV tapings.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought it was just because the studio wasn't available.
Yeah, that was a studio issue. It's a very interesting thing to be happening now.
Cora Jade versus Roxanne Perez. We're in the Jade generation.
We are in the Jade generation, but not Cora Jade. I'll tell you that. It's another Jade's generation right now.
I didn't even thought of that. Like, I wonder if they're kind of trolling a little bit with that.
Oh, it might be.
This was my least favorite match tonight. This feud just happened way too fast. You couldn't even become invested in them being best friends before they broke them up. You had Roxanne cut a very weak promo, which already gave away that she was going to do some stupid babyface move to lose this match when she was like, I'm so nervous, my stomach is so nuts. It's like, that shouldn't be how you feel before you're getting ready to go kick some ass. Like, you know, she didn't feel very hyped up in that promo. So for me, the promo gave away that it was going to have a stupid ending, and it did.
Wow. Yeah, not the best match. I did think that Cora Jade looked much improved in this match. I was more impressed than her in the ring than I have been in a while. And she shows promise as a heel, but this was not my favorite match. And I agree with Issa in terms of it being a heated match and this heated rivalry they want us to believe it is. It's just not that.
Yeah. This was okay. Like that we kept Brooks and Dunn with Fallon backstage saying they're going to see Pretty Deadly and Lash Legend down the line. We got to keep the Pretty Deadly Lash Legend thing going.
Yeah.
And then Gallus approach issue challenge for the NXT UK tag team titles, which Brooks and Dunn accepted. Got a lengthy recap video for Tony D'Angelo and Santos Escobar.
Yeah.
Face-to-face confrontation, winner-take-all street fight. Loser leaves NXT. Well, Santos loses, going to leave NXT. And were you surprised, Alfred, that Santos lost and he's leaving NXT?
A little bit. I love the Quentin Tarantino cut of the preview where they cut back to 4 months ago and how we got here. Yeah. That was awesome. And this is professional wrestling in terms of this whole feud. And what I liked about this match is I did think it could go either way. I could see Santos Escobar losing, getting called up, especially with Triple H in charge. That's great. I absolutely saw that could be a possibility. But I also could have seen that Santos Escobar was going to win and Legado was going to be back together. They're a hot act. When you see him in NXT, even though he's been there for a while, he's one of the biggest stars there. People love him there, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of that. What I loved about this was that even because it was a 50-50 thing where you could see it going either way, I think that made the finish work that much more. where the finish was basically they both got a weapon and whoever used it first won the match. And by a hair, it was Tony D'Angelo. I thought it was an amazing finish.
Issa?
I'm so happy to hear Legado del Fantasma's entrance theme back.
Yes.
Oh my God. I just love that moment. And I hope that they come to the main roster with this entrance theme song. It's going to be great. I like this match a lot. I did think Santos was going to lose here just because I can see him coming to the main roster and just killing it and exceeding there. But overall, great ending to this crazy feud. I mean, they've been going at it for so long. When the video package was going on, I couldn't help but to think, yeah, this video package has to be 5-10 minutes long because these guys have been going at it forever. But it was a fun ending, and Tony D'Angelo continues to just kick people out of NXT. That might be his new gimmick. He got Ciampa out of there. Yeah. Now he got Santos Escobar. Who's next?
He's a colonizer, man. Who's next? It's going to be a group. This might be how they end Diamond Mine. Is Tony D'Angelo colonizes them out of NXT. Gallus should be nervous too. Tony D'Angelo's coming for everybody's family. I love it.
Yes. So Tony D'Angelo goes after the main title now, finally.
Yeah, there seems like there's nowhere else to go. He'd be great for. And now that
I'm very
Breaker's
confused
done,
about the main title though, because like you had that segment with Apollo staring at it, but then we're getting to the end of the show and what happened there. So I don't know where Tony D fits in this weird storyline with everybody going after the title, and that's the way it should be. Everybody should be wanting to go after the NXT World Champ.
Just that promo when Braun's walking in and Mandy's walking in and Mandy's like, oh, I know I'm going to win my title match. Good luck with yours. And Braun's like, yep.
Yeah, it's just an awkward. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, like, oh my God, dude. Like,
it was like, why are you talking to me?
That's what I imagine a real life conversation between Braun Breaker and Mandy Rose. Like, that might not have even been a segment. Maybe somebody was just filming them.
Yeah.
You know what they should do? They should bring Mojo back to be Braun's hype man.
I could see it. He could be Braun's Scott Steiner. He could be the Rick Steiner to Braun's Scott Steiner.
Yeah, like he doesn't even have to wrestle. He could literally just like hype him up.
You do.
Yeah. And Braun could and Mojo could cut a promo on Braun and be like, yeah.
They could sell t-shirts.
It's like flip it around. Like imagine going to a hip hop show and like the hype man is the MC. And then there's the guy in the orbit doing all the raps and Sir Mix-a-Lot's just saying the last word of every line.
Like a Flavor Flav.
Yes, but we're flipping it. We're like if Chuck D was just like, yeah, boy. Do you think there's ever been a Public Enemy concert? Do you think Flav has the energy or has paid attention enough to the lyrics? Where Flav was like, tonight we're going to blow people's freaking minds. I'm going to do your parts and you're going to do my parts.
I hope so. See, if I knew that going in, I would pay for tickets to go see that.
Oh, I 1,000% would be there if that would happen. That would be awesome. And Terminator X would be like, what in the hell is going on? I don't even know if Terminator X is still in Public Enemy.
I don't believe he is, but no.
So Index open contents,
yes!
Indie open contents to suggest now that Dexter is back that perhaps they'll be reunited. But Blair Davenport walked in and tore the paper apart.
I'm so excited for Index. Like as soon as I saw Dexter Lumis on Raw 2 weeks ago, I was like, you cannot not address this on NXT. You have to do something. The way that they're doing this Dexter Lumis thing is genius. I really, really like it. I'm feeling it. Okay, so we'll see where it goes. But I was so happy to see the letter. But this girl, she broke that piece of art. That art is worth thousands of dollars, and she just ripped it. How dare she?
She tore Indii Hartwell's call-up letter in half. And does that mean that she doesn't get called up now?
Oh,
to
maybe
be with Dexter. And I love the fact that she would be with Dexter Lumis. I want them to be together on the main roster. And it doesn't have to be a campy thing the way it was before, which I thought was still great. It looks like they're going the serious route with Dexter and that he's going to face AJ Styles. So you do need a degree of seriousness. And I love them together as heels. I think Indii Hartwell has been in NXT for too long. Wrestling-wise, she still has a way to go, but she could be the mouthpiece for Dexter. Dexter does not talk. And he needs somebody to articulate why he's there, why he's going after AJ Styles. I actually already have in the can my next Pro Wrestling Bits will be 5 wrestlers who need a mouthpiece. And before I knew any of this, I said Indie needs to go reunite with Dexter, and I'm glad it's happening.
me too.
It wasn't even a year ago when they got married.
I know.
They're still in
We
the
still need
honeymoon
that-
stage.
Yeah, they need that anniversary. There's so much more to be done.
Man, that first year, man. So excited to see where that goes. And yeah, Blair Davenport, biggest heel now in all of NXT.
Yes, former B Priestley. Should be a lot of fun.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Now I understand where I've seen her before. Didn't she do something? Did she do something in AEW, or was she just under her own name in NXT?
Briefly, yeah, I believe she worked. I don't know if it was AEW at the time. I think she was on the All In card.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if but I do know. I think she's done a couple of things like matches on AEW Dark.
Got it. Steve Marcuccioli, $4.99. Turn Braun heel like Uncle Scott, like Cora be his valet who also wrestles.
I can tell you, on June 7th, I said this, and I have it still in my notes. When Braun Breaker turns heel, a lot of people are going to be changing their tune on how awesome it is. And I really hope he adopts Scott Steiner's big Papa Pump persona, because I think he can pull it off.
Alfred, Braun Breaker's #1 fan forever.
June 7th, 2022. That's our anniversary. It's when I fell in love.
Wrestling, you guys are gonna be. You should be his mouthpiece.
There you go. Pause. I don't know how he cemented. I just just so in case you didn't mean it like that. Pause.
Has anyone done that in a hip hop lyric? Use mouthpiece in that, because that's actually pretty brilliant.
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't know, man. I was trying to figure this out the other day because Jeff Gerstmann and I are doing Game Boys to Men. Second episode drops tomorrow on Jeff Gerstmann's Patreon. Most personal podcast I've ever done. Like, it was like going to therapy. We got deep with talking about Nintendo and some of our personal relationship and history. But I was, do you know the first drop of Nintendo in a hip hop song wasn't until like 89, and it was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, like on an album cut. Next year in 90, it was Another Bad Creation with Aisha. And then after that, it was one of the Bart Simpson songs, Deep, Deep Trouble. Then High C and Tupac dropped it in 91. Dre dropped Nintendo in a verse in 92. Then the floodgates opened. Then everyone was like, okay, it's not dorky to mention video games and hip hop.
Nintendo bars. That needs its own documentary. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I was looking on Genius going back. Because, yeah, I mean, now it's like ubiquitous. That Nintendo is like everywhere in hip hop.
I was gonna say that was on Genius. How did you know to name them in order like that?
Because I remembered Another Bad Creation with Aisha. Because I remember that we played Nintendo line, and I was like, was that the first? But then I had to like check because I didn't want to claim it was the first and be wrong. So I had to go back, and there was the one DJ Jazzy Jeff from the Fresh Prince song off the In This Corner record, the one with I Think I Could Beat Mike Tyson. We should have known then that Will Smith had some fighting ambitions.
There you go.
Yeah,
I think I could slap Mike Tyson would be more apt for Will Smith.
Oh man! And if that album had done better, we never would have gotten the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It was because that album kind of didn't live up to the sales of the album with Parents Just Don't Understand. That's why he went to acting.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of crazy. So let's talk about Mandy Rose and Zoe Stark for the NXT Women's Championship. Issa, were you hyped for this?
Kind of. I feel like the announcement of Zoe Starks and Nikita Lyons kind of made this a little bit predictable. I didn't see Zoe Starks winning just because they might be going to the main roster. But I do think that the possibility of Toxic Attraction showing up at the main roster and attacking them during their during their match is bigger now after what we saw happen tonight. But I just want to talk about how impressed I've been with NXT Mandy Rose. I really like the way she wrestled tonight. I thought she was very aware. She was aware of Zoe Stark's injury. She continued to attack the leg. At one point, she rolled out of the ring to not get pinned. Like, it's incredible the stories that she's being able to tell in her matches. And I personally enjoyed it. Zoe Starks is growing on me, but I didn't think that this was going to be it. I think Mandy has been champion for so long that when she does drop that title, it needs to be in a more credible build-up feud than this.
Well, I was actually shocked that Mandy Rose won tonight. I for sure thought that Zoe Stark was going to win. And I thought she looked really good in this match, Zoe Stark. I thought this was an excellent match in terms of telling that story of her knee injury. And that finish was really cool with Mandy Rose putting on the knee brace and then hitting the finish for the second time. I'm surprised not only that Zoe Stark lost, that she lost so decisively, that Mandy Rose essentially just put her out to pasture and put her in the middle of the ring and beat her. I was shocked that it went down like this.
But it wasn't easy work. I didn't think that Zoe Stark looked bad from losing this match to Mandy Rose, which is awesome. There was a lot of that tonight where a lot of people did not look bad in defeat. So I'm a fan of that, but I never thought that Zoe was winning, but I did think that she looks more dominant than Mandy Rose, and I like that Mandy Rose went there and did whatever she had to retain her title. I thought it was a fun story.
Yeah. It was a good match, and I'm now so convinced that Toxic Attraction's attacking Zoe and Nikita before their match Friday on SmackDown.
1000%.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, that'd be storyline continuity with NXT, and hopefully that'd be a really cool thing to have on SmackDown, which is WWE's most watched TV show, that you mentioned NXT and their ties to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But I thought this was a good match. But yeah, Nikita Lyon, and then it gives more motivation for Nikita to challenge Mandy and ultimately dethrone her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a good match. And before this, we got the video recapping the feud between Tiffany Stratton and Wendy Chu, who are going to have a lights out match. Alfred, you had thoughts on this?
Yes. I mean, I'm noticing a pattern with Wendy Chu is that she kind of has Orange Cassidy's gimmick. We're getting a lights out match, and I think they should just go all the way. Her gimmick should be ripping off AEW. Like, she should have tweets on Friday nights going after people and then plugging Rampage. I think they should go all the way. They should have a blood and guts match with Wendy Chu.
Wendy Chu is a heel, right? Yeah. We can all agree that. Like, there's no way she's a babyface. That's all 100%. I gotta say about this. I'm excited for the match. I'm looking forward to it, but I just don't see. I want to root for Tiffany Stratton here, which is not out of character for me. I usually root for for the heel, but in this situation, I haven't seen Wendy Chu as a babyface in a long time.
No, the story of this feud, which Tiffany Stratton has narrated very accurately, is that Wendy Chu tried to murder Tiffany Stratton, and Tiffany Stratton is just trying to protect herself. I mean, she's being a little obnoxious about it as a quote-unquote heel, but I too think that Wendy Chu is the heel of this feud. She started this smoke.
Yeah. We shall see. Quincy Elliott, the super diva of NXT. Issa, what did you think of this promo?
He had me until he called himself Super Diva. That's me.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
are you doing that? Yeah. You know? Interesting. I like the idea of introducing new characters. And again, we got to do the video packages. We've been doing that in NXT 2.0. We'll see where it goes. Not very familiar with them.
Alfred?
This could be very interesting. I actually missed this. I had no idea that they had aired this. But
yeah,
we're talking. Are we doing pronouns thing? Is he super diva? Does he identify? How does he identify? What is going on here?
As a super diva.
That's a good question. Let me check.
He said there's NXT superstars. Well, I'm a super diva. So
wow.
Quincy's been wrestling on NXT
Next
Level
in
Up.
line. Oh yes. Yeah, whatever it's called.
I've seen a couple of those.
I'm Big not fella. Seeing pronouns in the bio.
Didn't he hump like the ring post at one point? I think I saw that around my Twitter timeline at one point. And listen, I don't watch NXT Level Up, but I've seen some wild clips across my Twitter timeline that I'm like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, I've seen some too. And it's very interesting. See, this would be a perfect feud for Joe Gacy. This would right up the old Joe Gacy, not the one now, but the old Joe Gacy.
God.
This would be perfect for him.
Yeah, this will get NXT canceled. Like by USA, not even on Twitter. Like, because Joe Gacy is going to offend that many people. Stephen Marcuccioli, Mandy versus Lyons next. I mean, she's the only credible competitor.
Right.
Who's sticking around? Tiffany Stratton's going to the main roster.
I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It might be too early for Tiffany to. I mean, as much as we're hyping her up and whatnot, I would like to see her at least have a run as NXT Women's Champion.
Yeah, me too.
I don't mean to alarm anyone, but my air conditioning is not working, and I'm very concerned about this.
Are we going to get a moist Glenn?
We're talking about Heatwave. We are talking about Heatwave, so your AC is just like sticking to the gimmick, sticking to the bit, you know?
Yeah, your AC is a method actor.
I know. turning it on and nothing's happening. Might be the thermostat. We'll see. I'll figure it out after. But let's talk about the main event. Braun Breaker versus JD McDonough for the NXT Championship. Went over by about 8 minutes tonight. Issa, did you think JD was going to pull out a victory here?
Not once. Not once did I think that.
Yeah.
But he did look impressive in the second half of this match. On the beginning, I thought Braun Breaker was going to come in and squash him. He was just so dominant on the beginning. But once we came back from that last commercial break, we really did see a lot of he was wrestling a very technical way against Braun Breaker, and I appreciated that. But there was a couple of spots that he did that I was very, very impressed. But I didn't think he was going to be the one to defeat Braun Breaker. That doesn't take away from the match. Once again, tonight was the night where people that were defeated also ended up looking good, except for the Cora Jade match with Roxanne, and that is because I just didn't like the finish. But outside of that, I personally thought everybody looked great in defeat tonight, and JD was one of them. I thought it was good, but I never found him to be a believable contender for Braun Breaker, which made me feel very not invested into this match. But it was good.
Yeah. Alfred?
Yeah, it was fine. Nobody thought that JD McDonough was going to win this match. I thought it was interesting, that finish where he was bleeding from the mouth and he's inviting all that pain. But that character, I think, has been pretty flat for me in terms of being built up as a threat for Braun Breaker. And it's very interesting to see him use a sledgehammer in his entrance. I thought he was going to put the old logo back together, but the sledgehammer is a nice shout out to Triple H.
Yeah, I did like that visual of JD, like when he stood up and you saw all of the blood. I thought that was a very nice capture, like the visual of it.
Yeah.
It was good. I think the problem with these Braun matches is I just don't think any of these guys are going to win.
Yeah, and that's on the booking in terms of building up better feuds and storylines and material for him. I know he's limited right now in what he says and does, but he doesn't have too much to work with in terms of a newer guy in wrestling, and I think they need to help him out with that.
Well, that's why I was excited when we saw Apollo Crews staring at that belt backstage. That is a feud that I would like to see. But when we got to the finish here, this went in a different direction. So now I'm very confused about where we're going to go here.
Well, Tyler Bate walked in. Tyler Bate, one of the cheapest male talents in WWE 2K22 in my GM mode to add to your roster. Tyler Bate, the NXT UK champion, came in. Had not heard his music before. His music is very retro.
It's very generic. Do you like his music?
It sounds like a lesser CFO track.
To me, it sounded like hotel porn music. Not that I would know what that sounds like.
That's why you play on the waiting room. Don't play, Alfred. Copyright claim them, Alfred.
Exactly. Yeah, my lawyers are on it right now.
So he came in and they each held up their belts and stared down. So, I mean, we can kind of see where this is all going tonight with the invasion angle.
Yeah. So.
But where does that leave Apollo? I want to see Apollo versus Braun Breaker more than I want to see Braun Breaker versus Tyler Bate. No offense to Tyler Bate, but okay. Because I do think that Apollo could beat Braun Breaker. Everybody else that you put Braun Breaker in there against, I don't feel like they're going to beat him.
Yeah, and we definitely need more worlds. It cannot just be NXT UK, though. And I imagine they're going to do Raw, SmackDown. I imagine it's going to be a lot of the people who have to stay in the States and aren't traveling overseas. Maybe this will be the thing that they do to boost morale for not being on that pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah.
Europe.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, I got to see where this all goes before I have a final opinion on it.
Well, I just want to see Apollo versus Braun Breaker. We seen so many people, like we seen Solo Sikoa supposedly be next, and he never got that title shot. Like, and now I feel like we got a tease of Apollo, but that's not the direction that we're going. I want to see some of these names like be in the title picture. I miss Solo Sikoa tonight.
Right.
Yeah, I know, but he'll come back.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to come back and keep feuding with Von Wagner, which I think it's time for those two to go their separate ways.
No, never. They're going to keep fighting everywhere.
Fighting forever.
Literally, yes. Well, there you have it. That was NXT Heatwave. It's hot.
Are you hot? On a scale of 1 to 100 degrees, how hot are we tonight?
98 degrees.
Wow. 87 degrees Celsius.
Wow. Issa?
80 degrees.
There you go. Well, thank you everyone for
85
tuning in. 85. There you go. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll be back Friday for SmackDown. Excited? Are Nikita and Zoe going to get to compete Friday night, or will they get attacked by Toxic
I'm
Attraction?
excited for Roman Reigns. He's going to be on the show.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Alfred, he was just there like 2 weeks ago. Show.
It feels like forever to me.
Yeah, this
feels
is like
forever to me. He could be gone for a day and it will feel like forever.
this is like weekend visits with my parents after the divorce, and my dad just starts skipping, taking bigger breaks in between weeks. You know.
Wow, it got dark.
Yeah, real quick.
And he wonders why I don't always answer the phone when he calls me. So everybody have a good one. Issa's at NYC Demon Diva. That's Diva with the 1. I'm at Glenn Rubenstein. Alfred's at This Is Nasty. Take care, everyone. We'll catch you back here next time on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Have